One man became more powerful than his own country. He made more money than governments. He ordered assassinations, bombed cities, and turned Colombia into a war zone. This is the true crime story the world was never meant to see. In the heart of South America, nestled between the Andes Mountains, tropical jungles, and Caribbean coast, lies Colombia. For most of the world, Colombia conjures images of coffee plantations, colorful festivals, rhythmic music, warm people. But beneath that beauty was a dark transformation. A shift so deep that for decades the country became the epicenter of the deadliest criminal industry in human history. Not weapons, not diamonds, not oil, but cocaine. A powder so profitable that empires were built on it, and millions of lives were destroyed because of it. Today we will reveal the rise of the most infamous criminal empire Colombia has ever known, and the man at its center. This is not fiction. This is real. This is Colombia, the empire of cocaine and blood. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to FactZone and turn on notifications. If you love real crime documentaries and stories the world tries to bury, this channel is for you. Colombia, before the rise of cocaine, was a nation of tradition, heritage, and simplicity. Farmers woke with sunrise, children played barefoot in dusty towns, mothers cooked meals on open fires, and the coffee harvest dictated the rhythm of life. Families lived together, communities were close, violence was rare. In the cities, life was vibrant, street markets bustled, music never stopped, people smiled freely. But all of that was about to change. In the 1970s, demand for cocaine in the United States began to skyrocket. Cocaine, a powder extracted from coca leaves, had existed in South America for centuries, but it was mostly a mild stimulant used by indigenous people in the highlands. What changed was industrialization, turning coca into an addictive, high-profit drug. By the time the 1980s hit, cocaine was no longer underground. It was mainstream, and millions of dollars entered Colombia. In Medellín, a bustling industrial city, one man saw opportunity in the chaos. His name was Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. Escobar did not come from wealth. He was not educated in elite universities, but he was smart, driven, and unafraid. In the beginning, he was a petty criminal, stealing, forging, running small scams. But his ambitions grew faster than his crimes. As the cocaine trade expanded, Escobar saw a way to make real power, not just money. He formed the Medellín Cartel. This was not a small gang. This was a multinational organization with laboratories deep in the jungle, smugglers on planes and boats, workers processing kilos of cocaine day and night, networks stretching into the United States and Europe. Escobar controlled over 80% of the world's cocaine supply. At the peak of his power, he earned $420 million every single week. Every week. That is more than what some countries earn in a year. And Escobar didn't keep all that money in banks. No, he buried money in secret fields like buried treasure. He built mansions, ranches, private islands. He bought luxury cars. He owned fleets of homes. He gave away cash to the poor to gain loyalty, and he walked among the masses like a hero. In poor neighborhoods known as barrios, Escobar was not just seen as a criminal, he was seen as a savior. He built soccer fields, housing for the homeless, schools, churches. For families struggling with poverty, Escobar was a good man. But good deeds could not hide the horror that came with his empire. Part 3. Plata o plomo, silver or lead. Escobar had one simple rule when dealing with anyone. Plata o plomo. silver or lead. Take the bribe or take the bullet. If a police officer refused his money, they died. If a judge wouldn't cooperate, they died. Politicians were bought or assassinated. There was no neutrality, no middle ground. You were either with Escobar or you were buried with him. As his power grew, so did the violence. Cities began to change. Medellín, once a city of industry and culture, became the murder capital of the world. Bus stations were bombed, hotels were destroyed, airplanes exploded in flight, and all of it was part of Escobar's strategy: control through terror. Escobar did not just fight enemies, he waged war on society. Entire neighborhoods were taken over by cartel soldiers. Children as young as 12 became foot soldiers, killers for hire. For a few dollars, they would pull triggers without hesitation. They drove motorcycles through narrow streets, shot rivals, and disappeared into the shadows. Medellín was now a battlefield, a lawless city, a place where fear was normal. And the people? They had no choice but to live through it. Parents hid their children indoors. Shutters stayed closed. Peace became a memory. By the late 1980s, Colombia was no longer just facing a crime problem. It was facing a national emergency. Entire cities were under the influence of the Medellín cartel. Police were afraid to wear their uniforms. Judges slept in secret locations. Politicians traveled with bodyguards. Every day, someone was being assassinated. Colombia's government had lost control. The United States stepped in because the cocaine flooding American streets was destroying lives. A joint operation was formed between Colombian National Police, Colombian military, U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, intelligence agencies.
Pull up the cams.
Their goal was
I'm running
simple:
his photo now.
destroy Pablo Escobar. But killing Escobar was not easy. He had thousands of gunmen, a network of informants, safe houses in every city, planes, helicopters, and escape routes. He was more protected than a president.
And our cut?
Escobar didn't only fight the government, he tried to become part of it. He ran for Congress. Yes, a drug lord entered politics. In poor communities, he was loved. He gave away money. He paid for hospitals. He built football fields. He funded housing projects. To the poor, Escobar was not a criminal. He was Robin Hood. For a brief time, he became an official member of government, but his past was exposed. And when Colombia tried to remove him, Escobar declared war. Bombs became Escobar's voice. If the government made a move against him, a bomb would go off. Police stations were destroyed, government buildings were attacked, shopping malls were turned into graveyards. One of the worst attacks was the bombing of a commercial airplane. The plane exploded in the sky. Everyone on board died. Why? Because Escobar believed one of his enemies was inside. Innocent people became targets. Fear ruled the streets. Colombia became a country under siege. Eventually, the government realized they could not defeat Escobar in open war, so they negotiated. They made a deal with the devil. Escobar would surrender, but he would choose his own prison. It was called La Catedral. It was not a prison. It was a luxury compound.
View from here is
Inside, Escobar had alcohol, televisions, telephones, women, bodyguards. He continued running the cocaine empire from inside. When he discovered that some of his own men were stealing from him, he had them murdered inside the prison. Even in jail, Escobar was still king. The government was embarrassed. They tried to move Escobar to a real prison. When soldiers arrived, he escaped. Pablo Escobar vanished into the mountains. Now he was more dangerous than ever. A special police unit called Search Block was formed. Their only mission: find Pablo Escobar. They used phone tracking, informants, military raids, surveillance.
Signal
Day
moving to
and
target.
night,
Strength at 85%.
they hunted him.
Roger. Lunch. Target locked.
Escobar was hiding in slums, villages, and safe
Perimeter
houses.
secure.
His empire was collapsing.
Good.
His allies were dying. He was running out of time. On December 2nd, 1993, police traced Escobar's phone call. They found his hiding place. A gunfight erupted. Escobar tried to escape across rooftops, but he was shot. The king of cocaine fell. Pablo Escobar was dead. When Escobar died, the war didn't end. The violence didn't disappear, but something changed. The fear that one man controlled everything was gone. Colombia slowly began to heal, but the scars remained. Pablo Escobar proved that one criminal with enough money and violence can bring a country to its knees. But he also proved that no empire built on blood can last forever.